The story begins not with calm seas, but with chaos. In the pitch-black night of the open ocean, steel cables whip tight and spray explodes across the deck. A giant swordfish lunges, its razor-sharp bill striking like a spear, while a bluefin tuna the size of a small car thrashes violently against the line. On vessels barely 15 to 30 meters long, Asian fishermen face battles that test both strength and courage. Every second counts. One mistake can mean a torn hull, a broken limb, or a life lost to the sea. This dramatic scene poses the central question: how can such small wooden or steel boats, manned by only a handful of crew, capture oceanic giants worth hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars? The answer lies in a centuries-old method known as longline fishing, an art refined across generations yet still relevant today. Longline fishing is not simply about catching fish. It is a way of life, a high-stakes pursuit that blends tradition, danger, and extraordinary reward. For many communities across Japan, Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines, a single tuna can change the fate of a family. The hunt demands endless perseverance, weeks or months at sea, sleepless nights, and calloused hands hardened by salt water and steel. This introduction sets the stage for a journey deep into the world of longline fishing, the techniques, the battles, the sacrifices, and the pride of fishermen who dare to challenge the ocean. Behind every glittering tuna in a Tokyo market or swordfish fillet in a European restaurant lies a story of human endurance, silent struggle, and the eternal bond between people and the sea. At first glance, the boats may seem small, only 15 to 30 meters long, with crews of fewer than 20 men. Yet what these vessels carry is an invisible weapon that stretches far beyond the horizon: the long line. A single long line can measure between 80 and 150 kilometers, longer than the distance between entire cities. Along its length, thousands of branch lines are attached, each carrying a sharp hook baited and waiting in the darkness of the sea. The spacing is deliberate. Every hook is set about 50 to 70 meters apart, creating a floating trap that drifts silently with the currents. The bait, whether live fish, squid, or frozen sardines, is carefully chosen to mimic the natural prey of tuna and swordfish. Each piece must be firm, shiny, and appealing enough to trigger the instinctive strike of a predator cruising in the deep. Deploying the line is a ritual that takes hours, sometimes an entire night. Crew members stand in sequence, feeding hook after hook into the sea as the vessel pushes forward. The rhythm is constant. Bait, hook, splash. Buoys marked with lights or GPS transmitters are attached along the way to keep track of the gear. When the final buoy disappears into the waves, the ocean itself becomes the fisherman's partner, carrying the line across hunting grounds where giants roam. Technology has become an essential ally. In the past, fishermen relied only on the stars, the color of the water, or the flight of seabirds to guess where the tuna might be. Today, they study sonar screens that reveal the movement of schools beneath the surface. GPS allows them to plot precise courses, while water temperature sensors detect subtle shifts that signal where the fish will migrate. Bluefin tuna, for example, prefer waters between 18 and 22 degrees Celsius. Swordfish often linger in deeper, cooler layers during the day before rising closer to the surface at night. Knowing these details can make the difference between a full hold and an empty trip. Yet even with modern tools, the technique demands skill and instinct. Fishermen must balance line length, hook spacing, and bait type with the unpredictable moods of the sea. If the hooks are too shallow, the tuna will never see them. If the bait is poorly prepared, the fish will ignore it. Success is not guaranteed. It is earned through experience, patience, and careful calculation. After hours of preparation, the long line is left to drift. The crew waits, often through the night, as the ocean decides their fate. Somewhere along those endless kilometers of nylon and steel, a bluefin might strike, driving the hook deep, or a swordfish might snap, lashing out with its deadly bill. The line is both a lifeline and a gamble, an engineering marvel stretched between survival and fortune. Longline fishing, in essence, is a balance between human ingenuity and nature's vast unpredictability. It is simple in concept, but incredibly complex in execution. Behind each hook lies not just a chance at profit, but centuries of tradition and the enduring hope of those who call the ocean home. When dawn breaks, or in the silent hours before sunrise, the waiting ends. The long line that has drifted through the night is hauled back, hook by hook, kilometer by kilometer. At first, it is routine. Empty hooks, torn bait, perhaps a small catch. But suddenly, the steel wire jerks violently, pulling against the winch with a force that makes the entire vessel shudder. Something massive has taken the bait. The battle begins. A giant bluefin tuna weighing anywhere from 100 to 400 kilograms thrashes below the surface. Its body is pure muscle, forged by years of migration across oceans. As it is pulled closer, the fish fights with explosive power, spraying seawater across the deck. Every lunge threatens to snap the line or rip the hook free. For the fishermen, it is a brutal test of endurance, man against a creature built for speed and strength. But tuna are not the only adversaries. Swordfish pose a far more dangerous challenge. With their long, razor-sharp bills, they can strike with deadly precision. There are stories of swordfish piercing wooden hulls, punching holes through steel plates, or injuring crew members who dared to stand too close. A single misstep, a fisherman leaning over the line at the wrong moment, can turn the catch into catastrophe. To overcome these dangers, teamwork is essential. The captain calls out orders while deckhands position themselves strategically. Some handle the reel, tightening or loosening the wire to control the fish's movements. Others prepare gaffs, long poles with sharp hooks, ready to secure the animal once it surfaces. In extreme cases, electric batons are used to stun a thrashing fish, ensuring it can be brought aboard without injuring the crew. Every roll matters. Hesitation or poor coordination can spell disaster. The deck itself becomes a battlefield. Steel wires strain under pressure, snapping taut with a sound like gunfire. Waves crash over the sides, soaking the men as they struggle to hold their ground on the slippery surface. Hands already hardened with calluses bleed from the friction of pulling lines. Eyes burn from sleepless nights, yet every sense is focused on the fight unfolding before them. When at last the creature breaks the surface, the crew moves in unison. The first gaff strikes, securing the fish to the side of the boat. A second hook drives in, followed by shouts as the animal thrashes one final time. With heaves of combined strength, the fish is hauled over the rail, slamming onto the deck with a weight that shakes the vessel. The air is filled with the smell of salt, blood, and victory. Yet triumph is always tempered by risk. Many fishermen bear scars from past encounters, cuts from a swordfish bill, broken bones from a flailing tuna, or near misses when a line snapped under tension. Some never return at all, claimed by storms or accidents in the heat of battle. On the deck of a long-line vessel, every catch is a gamble, and every victory is paid for in sweat, pain, and sometimes blood. This is the reality of the fight. Not just catching fish, but surviving the ocean's fury and the raw power of its greatest predators. Life aboard a long-line fishing vessel is a world apart from life on land. The boats themselves are small, just 15 to 30 meters in length, but they carry crews of 6 to 20 men who must rely on each other completely. Once the vessel leaves port, it becomes a floating village, a workplace, and at times, a prison drifting on the endless horizon. There is no sunrise or sunset in the traditional sense. Time is no longer measured in hours or days, but only in cycles of work, the time to set the line, and the time to haul it back. The routine is relentless. One crew might take the night shift, preparing bait and casting hooks into the dark sea, while another rests briefly before waking to pull in the line at dawn. Sleep is fragmented, often reduced to short naps in narrow bunks or even curled up on the deck beside the rumble of the engine. Meals are simple, hurried affairs. A pot of rice, some dried fish, perhaps a few vegetables brought from shore. Sometimes instant noodles provide comfort during long nights when fatigue presses heavily. Hot tea or coffee is a treasured ritual, warming calloused hands against the chill of the wind. But there is little time to savor food. Work always comes first. The moment a fish is hauled aboard, the crew moves quickly to preserve its value. Tuna are bled and gutted immediately, their organs removed with practiced efficiency. The fish are then washed and lowered into freezing holds where temperatures plunge to 40 degrees C. This rapid process is crucial. Any delay could cause the flesh to discolor, reducing its worth on the Japanese market, where a perfect deep red hue can fetch extraordinary prices. Swordfish receive similar treatment, their firm white meat prized in restaurants across Europe and America. Between these bursts of intense labor lies the harsh monotony of the sea. Waves crash endlessly against the hull. The deck is always wet, always slippery. Salt crystals form on ropes and clothing, stinging cuts and chafed skin. Clothes rarely dry. The air smells of diesel, fish, and brine. Storms can strike without warning, forcing the crew to battle not only the catch, but also the sea itself. Seasickness is common, but there is no escape. No land in sight for days, even weeks. Yet amid the hardship, there is camaraderie. Fishermen share stories to break the silence of the night, jokes to lighten the burden of exhaustion. A birthday might be marked by a shared can of sweets, a lucky catch by laughter and cheers. Bonds form that are stronger than steel cables, forged in sweat, salt water, and shared survival. Still, the toll is undeniable. Hands crack and bleed from rope burns. Eyes turn red from sleepless nights. Backs ache from hauling lines. Many fishermen return home only a few times a year, their lives measured in voyages rather than seasons. For them, the sea is both livelihood and adversary, an endless challenge that demands sacrifice with every journey. Life at sea is not romantic. It is brutal, exhausting, and uncertain. But for those who choose it, the ocean is not just a workplace. It is a calling, a way of life passed down through generations. In the world of long-line fishing, the struggle on deck is only half the story. The true significance of these battles lies in what the catch represents once it reaches the market. A single fish, pulled from the deep with sweat and risk, can be worth more than a year's wages for many families. At the top of the hierarchy is the bluefin tuna, often called the diamond of the sea. This species, capable of growing over 400 kilograms, is highly prized in Japan, where sushi and sashimi demand the highest quality meat. The bright, ruby-red flesh of a perfectly handled bluefin is considered a delicacy beyond comparison. In Tokyo's Toyosu Fish Market, annual auctions have seen individual fish sell for staggering sums, sometimes more than $1 million. While these headline-making prices are rare and symbolic, they highlight the immense value placed on this fish. Even ordinary market prices are enough to transform the fortunes of a fishing family. Swordfish, too, hold an important place in global trade. With their firm, white meat rich in flavor and nutrition, they are staples in high-end restaurants across Europe and the United States. Each fish can grow over 2 meters in length, and though they may not reach the astronomical prices of bluefin tuna, their steady demand ensures reliable income for fishermen. Together, tuna and swordfish form the backbone of long-line fishing economies across Asia. For many coastal communities, particularly in Vietnam, the Philippines, Indonesia, and Japan, the catch is more than just food. It is financial security. A single large bluefin tuna brought back to shore might cover school fees, repair a home damaged by storms, or even allow a fisherman to invest in a new engine for his vessel. Families wait anxiously at the harbor, knowing that the weight of one fish can decide their livelihood for months ahead. The economic value extends far beyond the fishermen themselves. Entire industries depend on these catches: processing plants, ice factories, transport companies, exporters, and global seafood markets. In port cities like Shimizu in Japan, General Santos in the Philippines, Busan in South Korea, or Hanro in Vietnam, thousands of jobs are tied to the arrival of long-line fleets. From the dockside workers who unload frozen fish, to the traders negotiating prices, to the chefs slicing sashimi in Tokyo, the value of each fish ripples outward across the globe. And yet, with such high stakes comes intense pressure. Fishermen know that every trip is a gamble. Rising fuel costs, unpredictable weather, and fluctuating market prices can make or break a voyage. A line full of empty hooks means not only disappointment, but also crushing financial loss. Conversely, landing even one giant bluefin can be life-changing. For these men, fish are more than just animals. They are assets, hopes, and symbols of survival. Every shimmering body lowered into the icy hold is a promise of income, of opportunity. Of a better future for their families. In the economy of the sea, each catch represents not just a commercial product, but the dreams of those who risk everything to bring it home. For all its value, long-line fishing is not without consequences. Beneath the surface of triumph and economic reward lies a mounting crisis. The oceans, once thought to be limitless, are showing signs of strain. Tuna are becoming smaller, swordfish harder to find, and fishing grounds increasingly distant from shore. Each voyage now demands more time, more fuel, and more money, forcing fishermen to risk greater costs for uncertain returns. Climate change adds another layer of difficulty. Rising sea temperatures shift migration routes, pushing tuna and swordfish into new, unpredictable waters. Storms grow fiercer, striking with little warning and endangering lives at sea. Pollution compounds the problem. Plastic waste drifts into traditional fishing zones, damaging gear and contaminating the ecosystem. For small boats already operating on thin margins, these challenges can feel overwhelming. Governments and international organizations have stepped in to prevent collapse. Across the Pacific and Indian Oceans, nations have signed agreements under regional fisheries management organizations, such as the WCPFC and IOTC. These agreements impose strict quotas on how many tuna can be caught each year, limit the number of vessels allowed to operate, and enforce seasonal bans during spawning periods. For fishermen, it means they cannot simply fish as their fathers once did. Every hook in every catch is now watched, measured, and counted. At first, many resisted these restrictions. To men whose livelihoods depend on the sea, rules that cut their catch feel like chains. But over time, the necessity has become clear. Without limits, the future of the fish and the future of the fishing communities would be lost. Conservation is not just an environmental issue, it is a survival strategy. Innovations in fishing techniques are part of this solution. Circle hooks, for instance, reduce the accidental capture of sea turtles, allowing them to escape unharmed. Torii lines, long streamers trailed behind the boat, deter seabirds from diving into the hooks. Weighted branch lines sink faster, keeping baited hooks out of reach of sharks and other unintended species. These small changes in gear design have a big impact, helping fishermen target only the species they seek, while protecting the broader ecosystem. In some regions, fishermen have even become partners in science. Programs train them to tag tuna and swordfish with electronic markers, recording data on migration, size, and health before releasing the fish back into the ocean. These partnerships not only deepen scientific understanding, but also give fishermen a sense of pride in protecting the very creatures they rely upon. The sea is no longer just a battlefield. It is a shared responsibility. Still, challenges remain. Markets demand more fish than the ocean can safely provide. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing undermines honest efforts. And every year, the risks at sea grow with harsher storms and shifting climate patterns. But through cooperation, innovation, and respect for the ocean, hope endures. For longline fishermen, conservation is not about giving up their way of life. It is about ensuring that their way of life can continue. To preserve the bluefin tuna, the swordfish, and the seas themselves is to preserve the generations who will inherit both the hardships and the pride of this ancient profession. When the voyage finally ends, the boats return to port. The harbor comes alive with the sounds of engines, gulls, and shouting voices. One by one, massive tuna are hauled from icy holds, their silver bodies glistening under the morning sun. Swordfish stretch across the decks, their long bills gleaming like spears. For the crew, each fish is more than a commodity. It is proof of survival, endurance, and success after weeks at sea. Families gather on the dock to welcome fathers, brothers, and sons. Children stare wide-eyed at the towering fish, symbols of both wealth and danger. Wives and mothers count the catch, calculating what it will mean for the months ahead: school tuition, repaired homes. Food on the table. The sight of a full load is not just relief, but pride, a reminder of what the sea gives and what it demands. In many parts of Asia, this tradition runs deep. In Vietnam's coastal provinces, sons follow their fathers into the ocean, inheriting not just boats, but wisdom, where the currents run, when the tuna migrate, how to read the wind and waves. In Japan, entire fleets specialize in bluefin tuna, combining modern precision with rituals passed down for centuries. In the Philippines and Indonesia, wooden boats still set out daily, carrying on methods older than the nations themselves. Across these shores, fishing is not only work, it is identity, a bond between community and sea. This is why longline fishing is more than a profession. It is a cultural heritage etched into the lives of those who have risked everything for the ocean's gifts. the scars on fishermen's hands, the weathered faces burned by sun and salt, the calloused palms gripping steel wire, all are marks of a legacy carved by sacrifice. They do not simply catch fish, they preserve a way of life. Even as modernization changes the industry, the core remains the same: courage, resilience, and love for the sea. Every generation adds its own chapter to the story, but the essence does not fade. The ocean tests them, humbles them, and sometimes takes them. But it also sustains them, offering pride and purpose beyond measure. As the sun sets over the harbor, the cycle begins again. Ice chests are refilled, nets and lines repaired, and soon the boats will head back into the vast unknown. For the fishermen, there is no final voyage, only the next season, the next battle, the next hope. And for us, the consumers who enjoy sushi in Tokyo, grilled swordfish in Europe, or seafood across the world, it is worth remembering. Behind every plate lies a story written in sweat, salt water, and determination. If you want to discover more about the hidden lives of those who live at the edge of land and sea, join us on this journey. Subscribe to the channel, share these stories, and let the pride of the ocean's fishermen continue to inspire.